Ski Mask the Slump God is one of the most successful artists to come out of the SoundCloud era. He has many accolades and is undoubtedly an underground legend. About a month ago I made a video on Ski Mask the Slump God's rise to success, but to my surprise I got a lot of comments saying Ski fell off. But how do all these people think that despite Ski's massive success, his high monthly listener rate, and his millions of streams, how do people think that Ski fell off? I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with Ski's come up, so I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video, but like I said, I recently made a video about it, so if you want to, you can check that video out after this one, of course. But Ski is another artist who blew up during the SoundCloud era and is known for his unique flows. Everyone loves Ski's charisma and his pop culture related bars, making him a popular artist among the youth. He spent his early career making music with his close friend XXXTENTACION, which helped him establish a fan base early on. His song Take a Step Back was probably one of his biggest songs from this era. However, in 2017, Ski got his big break with the songs Catch Me Outside and Baby Wipe. These two songs absolutely blew up. Pretty much everyone I know that listens to rap knows these songs. It especially helped that Lyrical Lemonade was on the rise, and these two songs were paired with Lyrical Lemonade videos. The following year, he released his album Stokeley with the hit songs Faucet Failure and Nuketown, which featured the artist Juice WRLD, who was also blowing up around that time. He also had songs like Foot Fungus and Unbothered perform extremely well, along with the rest of the album. The album Stokeley sold 51,000 units first week. The next year, in 2019, Ski, Danny Towers, Lil Yachty, and DJ Scheme released the song How You Feel, and that song also performed pretty well. I don't know about you guys, but that was a pretty popular song during my summer of 2019, and a lot of my friends were listening to it, and I think it was also doing pretty well on TikTok too around that time. I can't quite remember, but I'm just gonna assume it was. With great chemistry, a lot of memes, and a fun music video, fans love the song. He's also had a few notable features since then. But how can people look at all this success and still think that Ski fell off? At first, after looking at all this, I was pretty confused, but after thinking about it for a while, I can kind of understand why. Because to be honest, he has had a decline in his releases and in his performances numbers-wise. The percentage figure I used in the thumbnail represents the decline in first week sales from his album Stokeley to his latest release, Sin City the Mixtape. Like I said, Stokeley sold 51,000 units first week, and Sin City sold 17,000. Ski waited 3 whole years after dropping Stokeley to release Sin City, which I'm sure hindered his performance. It also doesn't help that a lot of fans found that project to be pretty weak compared to a lot of his discography. Since the underwhelming release of Sin City from last year, we really haven't heard a ton from Ski other than a few forgettable features. It's now 2022, and I can honestly say that we haven't really had anything crazy from Ski since like 2019. So yes, I can understand why some people may think that Ski fell off, but we have to look at why this decline exists in the first place. First off, one of the most obvious and important ones in my opinion is that Ski has lost 2 of his best friends. After X died, the man he grew up with, first started making music with, and blew up with, I wouldn't have been surprised if he took a huge break from music after this incident. But he released his album Stokeley only 5 months after. However, I'm sure a lot of it was done by then. He seemed to deal with it pretty well from a release perspective, but the next year his close friend Juice WRLD, who he had been collaborating with a lot at the time, also passed away due to a drug overdose. This loss is seemingly the one that caused him to slow down releases, although I'm sure that's not the sole reason. It definitely could be part of it. On top of that, him and Juice had a highly anticipated project called Evil Twins in the works that will likely never be released due to the leaks and Juice's passing. This project, in my opinion, would have been the next big step in Ski's career, seeing as how huge both of those artists were at the time, and how great the project sounded from the leaks we have heard. Ski had to deal with the deaths of 2 of his closest friends at such a young age, with hundreds of thousands of people also chiming in on the internet. This definitely is not an easy thing to deal with, and would definitely break many people emotionally, to the point where if you were an artist, you probably might not want to make music anymore. My second reason is that there were a ton of issues, especially with his label, in Ski's early career and throughout, that he had to overcome even before he released Stokeley. If you want to hear about a few other issues that I think could have harmed Ski's career, you can check out my other Ski Mask the Slump God video. But of course, I'm not going to talk about it in this one since I already covered it. So, did Ski Mask the Slump God fall off? Well, if you look at the dictionary definition, sure, Ski doesn't have quite as much buzz as he did a few years ago, but the same could be said about many artists from that era. I think people have way too much of a short-term mindset and are too focused on the negative. But I think what most people mean by fall off is a little more powerful than a slight decline. Typically in pop culture and in hip-hop especially, people tend to use the phrase fall off to describe people that are no longer relevant. People like Fetty Wap or Designer may have this phrase used on them, and that's pretty appropriate, but it's becoming increasingly more common for people to use this phrase nowadays. I believe that Ski in particular is far from irrelevant, therefore he has not fallen off. Let me explain this real quick if you guys still don't agree with me. First of all, he has over 8 million monthly listeners, which is extremely solid. A lot of artists dream of doing numbers like that. Secondly, his last project didn't even perform that bad for someone who hadn't released in years and only put it out as a mixtape. It likely wasn't intended to be an actual album, and all the songs on Sin City have millions of plays. Selling 17,000 units first week is not bad at all. Just because his last project sold more doesn't mean that it's bad that that's how much his recent project sold. Again, many artists would kill for those numbers. My third and final point is this video right here of Ski performing live at Rolling Loud a few days ago. If this is falling off, I would love to fall off. Now granted, it's a festival and not everyone is there to see Ski, but he was listed on the lineup among names like Lil Uzi Vert and Gunna. Now, of course, Ski isn't Drake level or Kendrick Lamar level, but he's still an extremely successful artist, and I really don't think he's irrelevant, and I definitely don't think he's fallen off. And yeah, he's had a slight decrease in numbers and release frequency, but like I said, there's a handful of reasons that have caused that, and I think that if Ski wanted to turn that around, he definitely could at any point. If you like this video, you should consider checking out the video I made on Ski that I've been referencing throughout this video. That'll pop up on the screen right now. Other than that though, thank you guys for watching. This has been Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time.